recently, it's always neat to hear the big time stories. For example, like the Facebook story.
Okay.
What a wonderful concept that hey, you can utilize your entrepreneurial spirit, and next thing you know, you got $40 billion company. Those are I guess the lottery hits.
Okay.
But most of us are like us that have to fight it day to day. You always think about the movies and the stories that it's neat to see those stories, but I guess in the grand scheme of things, what mostly inspires you is the fact that hey, you're willing to make that entrepreneurial fight every day. A T Xpress is a warehouse transportation logistics, kind of a niche approach. We do warehouse and transportation services for customers. So if you need to get your products from point A to point B, we can warehouse them for you, and we can then obviously deliver them to any locations. And we do what would be considered the touch freight side of things, or a direct store delivery approach to it, where at each place we would go, we drop off an order here and an order there. So that's kind of our niche and how we've grown the business.
Okay.
The next thing that I think we can do is our overhead is sometimes much lower than the big corporate structure. So we can try to compete a little bit in that arena because we can do more with less. And we can probably work on a little bit thinner margins than normal because we can do some of that. We got, like I said again, back to that you have really good people, so you don't have a lot of extra overage or fat in the labor side of things, so you're getting the most production out of the people you have, so it allows you to function at a higher level. So I think that's partly what makes us different. The other side of it is that we're probably willing to do some of the things that maybe the big corporate model isn't interested in doing. Well, not always, I guess. When I graduated from college, I worked for the auditor's office, auditing state agencies. I knew that probably wasn't going to be my ultimate career path, but that was my degree, was accounting, and we kind of got into that, and then that's when it transitioned into obviously the entrepreneurial spirit. But I guess in some ways, I've always been an entrepreneur because my father had, and that's kind of what took me in this direction, a outside business that it was a retail ice cream bar. But what he did was he wanted to get into some distribution kind of things. And I remember we had a freezer trailer out back that was for storage. And I remember sitting in there in an Eskimo suit cutting spumoni wedges for restaurants. So I guess that's what got the entrepreneurial spirit going, I guess.
Okay. And
the biggest challenge is figuring out, one, how to get the revenue that you need to start up. And then the second part is how to then continue to cash flow that while you're trying to grow it, And then, and I think the number one thing that we always talk about is you're not truly an entrepreneur until you have to make a payroll, you know. And then when you got to figure out, when people, are relying on you to make sure that they get their paycheck and that they're able to feed their families and able to make sure that they can, have a home life. They're counting on those monies. So that weighs heavy on, I'd say, every entrepreneur when you're just getting started. And even today, as we continually grow, it's not as challenging as it was, but there's different challenges that feed into how you find the capital necessary to make it through.
Okay.
As you grow, it's nice to know that, hey, you have a team behind you, and you have good people that wish to stay with you and work with you, and know that they support you, in the efforts of the company and do that. I mean, that's certainly a high point. I mean, gaining new business and taking it to, as we, have several large contracts, it was nice to get over the hurdle of proving that you deserve to have the business and then showing them that you can execute the business even through the tough challenges. I mean that's certainly a high point, is knowing that you've had reasonable success in doing some of that kind of thing, so those are, but I think mostly it's that you've developed a team of people that are supportive, of the company, believe in the company, and are willing to help you to grow.
Columbus has an amazing art scene. I mean, absolutely serious. I can't believe they let this many creative people just roam around loose. It's serious. I've been sculpting since I was a little guy. I've always been a painter for the most part, but that was only because I didn't have the place to sculpt. I did a piece that's in the Motorcycle Hall of Fame Museum right now in the Two Wheels on a Motor exhibit. It's titled Motar. It's half man, half horse, half motorcycle. Yeah. I do a lot of commission work for BMW of North America. Okay. And it was a piece I originally done for them, and they rejected it as being way too edgy, too far from their brand. And I understand it, but I liked it, so I went ahead and built it anyways. That's been, I think, probably one of my more popular pieces. I think anybody that wants to have some of my work should be able to afford it. So I start my prices out, around the $50 range, and then they go up into the, made of unobtainium. This is one of my less expensive pieces. The guys that build hot rods and also antique motorcycle guys will use these on the gear shift. Okay. Yeah, they're all done after the person who owns the vehicle. So each one of them has their own little oddball things on them.
When did you get the motorcycle bug? Let's put it that way.
I was about 12 years old. A fellow that rented a house off of my father offered me a ride on a Triumph 650. And it was one of the most scary experiences I've ever had in my life. And when I did get back, after much praying, I did get back in one piece, and I got off of the motorcycle and I thought, I am going to do this for the rest of my life. Wow. And I have.
Okay. Wow.
Tech is better than music, because you still get music in tech, but you actually get tangible things or tangible results. Whereas a lot of bands just kind of suck. You can really learn a lot from the tech scene and then apply that anywhere else. I mean, I wish most of the local bands would come to the tech scene and really understand what value means. What is a transaction? Why do people engage in certain activities? Because these are all answers that you get from being in the tech scene, but you never think about the whys when you're in a band. You just create music and then expect other people to accept it. Whereas it's really a product. Your music is your product. And I wish I would have realized that, I wish I had a concrete understanding of these things before I was forced to come into a tech scene and get it. We always do things that are out of necessity. What attracted us to the tech space wasn't necessarily anything about the tech space, it was that we needed to get one of our applications developed. We had an idea, wanted to get it done, and we don't know how to do it ourselves. So we were like, well, let's contact people who do. It just so happened that right next to our office in downtown was a couple of guys in the tech space, Pat Poehler and Dennis Green, who are a creative guy and a developer. And Pat was kind enough to give us the names and numbers of a lot of people in the tech space that he was familiar with. So we called those guys. It started very small, a couple of meetings here and there. And within like a month, we had met half the tech scene who welcomed us with open arms. It was nice. It was really good because we come from roofing, and that space is really, really competitive. So if you wanted to meet with a room of roofers, half of them would end up dead by the end of the meeting. In tech space, it was like, hey, come on in. How can we help you? And it was really refreshing. It was awesome because that's how Ryan and I think. We're like, roofing, although it's really competitive, you know, I think there's 3,000 roofers in Ohio.
Oh, wow.
So even though it's competitive, Ryan and I have never turned down a meeting with another roofer because it's like the state is huge. We're not gonna, even if there are 3,000 roofers, it's rare that we bump into a roofer on the road anyway. So it's, you know, we just have a pretty good understanding and perspective that it's really not competition. It's more like, see if you can learn from their experience and grab their knowledge. Because if you get two roofers in the room, we all go through these weird experiences. That's kind of how it seemed like the tech space was welcoming us, which was nice. Again, it was really cool. So we're really happy. But it didn't come to us as like, hey, this is going to be fun. Let's go try to get in the tech. It was more like, we need something done. This is why we got a hold of them, and that's how it started. So
Great.
CanvasMate came from a pain point of, it was just, we owned a roofing company. We had no way to track our outside sales reps, and we had to develop some way to do it. So Canon, being the Pandora for local music, was a way for us to sort of still be in the music scene and still have a business at the same time. You know, something we could hopefully make money off of, and we didn't have to spend the 50 to 60 hours a week that it takes to be a successful band. We could still work and have this thing on the side that was really fun and allowed a huge creative outlet. And then CanvasMate, the sort of the pen on the map app, if you will, allows you to drop like a ton of pens, which allows teams to collaborate on a single map and help people to efficiently allocate their assets in the field, their sales team in the field. Fleshing out the idea and asking the right questions is probably the single biggest hurdle that we've ever faced, because you know, you have this idea in your head of like what you want, and then you're like trying to discern that and try to tell that to a developer, like, hey, this is what we want to do. If you haven't thought about every single detail, like critically thought about every single detail, you get lost in the details pretty quickly, because everything boils down to like, you know, a few points. If you don't have those clearly defined, you get mission creep and everything. So you start to, what is your core? And then if you don't have that core defined, you start going away from everything. So Ryan and I, being sort of ADHD that we are, we want to creep everywhere. We want everything. You know, if we can make a solution that's sort of like the solution for, I mean, if we can make a solution for everything, we would. But luckily, we've had some people in the tech scene who have brought us down from that and helped us to refine our ideas and really made us better people for it. It's been a great experience the whole way through. Not just because it's helped us get a couple of things off the ground and launched, but because it's really it's taught us lessons that we apply to everyday life in general. Like, why am I doing this? What is my core mission, either in this meeting or in this new project or in this job that I have to do, this new customer I'm meeting with? What am I supposed to be doing here? And don't let it get too far away from that, because once you do, you sort of fail on both parties, your client and yourself.